Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're looking for your next product marketing role or you're trying to break into product marketing, this is the channel for you. I've been in product marketing for 7 years, going on 8 years. I've launched programs that have generated 1.8 million in 7 months and 202K in 30 days. I've launched B2B products, I've launched B2C products now, and I've learned a lot. I will say one of the biggest things is that people looking to transition into product marketing tend to not really understand what product marketing does, or they don't really know what they're in for. I want to take today to just kind of do a sit and chat with you type of video, just having an honest conversation with you so you can really determine if product marketing is a good fit for you and your skill set, your personality, what you would put up with, what you want to put up with. Okay, let's dive into it. Okay, so let's talk about this in terms of this chunk of the video. It's going to be called expectation versus reality. So the first one is just regarding messaging and positioning. So I, for one, took a pragmatic marketing certification, and I thought when I was brand new to product marketing, I would be spending a ton of my time, probably 80% of my time, refining my messaging and positioning, meeting with buyers, validating over and over again, maybe meeting with partners to validate my messaging and positioning for my one product, then doing it again, refining, having all this time. And what I've found is that that has never been the case at my product marketing roles. So normally you're gonna be owning maybe multiple products. So right now at my current job, I own like roughly 15 products. And I just don't have time to validate as much as I want to with my messaging and positioning. Of course, high level, I know what makes us different, what differentiates us in each area. But I think doing like messaging and positioning to the point where you're refining every single word about your product, at least when you work with a smaller team or at a smaller organization, that's just not the case. You might have to spend more time project managing a launch, for example, getting teams to be on board, getting stakeholders to deliver what they wanted to execute on or what they're signed up for the launch. You might be spending more time maybe creating sales enablement material to train your sellers. Maybe they don't even know the basics of your products. So I think, you can take these certification courses and I think they're great. I have a Product Marketing Alliance certification. I have a couple from Pragmatic Marketing. I do think that they're very helpful to understand best practices in product marketing, but I think there's a reality that happens when a lot of folks start their first product marketing role where they're like, whoa, I did not expect this. Like, this is so chaotic. This is crazy. And I do think that it's important to just talk about these things, ahead of time, that you can learn all the steps in these courses and certification programs, and it's great, but it rarely ever works out that way. It's not to say that that's a bad thing necessarily. You learn to kind of roll with the punches, but this was a big misconception that I personally had coming from tech sales. Okay, so here's another big area that we rarely ever talk about in product marketing unless you're in the throes of it, and that is the always on mentality. So when you work in another department, maybe you have, like if you're in demand gen, for example, or like digital advertising, maybe you have like campaign cycles, or you have a certain project and it has a nice start date, a complete date, there you go. But with product marketing, because we sit in the middle of so many different teams, and you might have seen that online or when you're doing your courses, for example, or certifications, you might have seen like product marketing is the center of product management, sales, and marketing, but there's also all these other teams that are within those. So you might have within sales, you might have SDRs, so those are the people that qualify leads. You might have AEs that close the deals. You might have strategic solutions consultants that show, the really in the weeds parts of the product on a customer demo. So there's just so many teams that product marketing has kind of a hand in enabling their success. So because of that, it kind of never ends in terms of the work that you can do in product marketing, because let's say a product release is going out the door and going to be generally available for your customers. You're going to be very heavily involved in that. If a sales rep or multiple sales reps start losing deals to a new competitor, you're going to be involved in that and analyzing what's missing, what are our critical gaps against that competitor. And so it never really ends, but in a way, I mean, I personally love that there's always something I could be doing. It's very dynamic in product marketing that way. There's not just like one project that I'm going to be working on for a set period of time. It's like I can always kind of dip into these other teams and their projects and their goals and assist them in being successful. Okay, so the next area is the cross-functional myth, or the chaos of cross-functional work, right? So I see this so much in especially like Reddit posts and Reddit threads that I follow pretty closely regarding product marketing. Is people say, wow, like, I don't know, is this normal to be kind of the middleman or the middlewoman between all these different teams? Like, I feel like I'm not adding any value because I'm just constantly meeting with different teams and just translating different information. And I did see a comment that I really resonated with me on Reddit that was talking about how that is your value. That's part of the job of being a strategic product marketer, is that because you're working with all these different teams, you can see the gaps between them. So they care about their own specific goals, right? So if you're talking about customer success, maybe they only care about reducing churn. Okay, so then you have the sales team. Maybe their goal is we only care about closing deals, right? And so you're looking at all these different stakeholders and understanding their goals, and you can provide that context when you're talking to them, saying like, hey, I know this is really important to you. This team also is feeling this pain, or this team also has this challenge. And so this launch is going to resolve both of those goals, or going to help you reach both of those goals in a different way. So you wouldn't speak to like an engineer, for example, the same way you would for a sales rep, okay? When I'm doing a product launch, I will create decks that only include the information that that team really cares about. So it's really targeted to them. But also I like to give them some, like, a little bit of context on how, you know, this overall launch, this is the goal that we want, but here's how your team can really benefit from this, or here's how participation in this launch helps your team specifically. So in that example, you know, CSMs, maybe their main goal is to reduce churn. Okay, this new enhancement is going to help you to reduce customer churn because it's filling a competitive gap that we have. Our other competitors have this, and we're filling that gap. So it's gonna help you have stronger conversations with your customers and reduce churn. Now for sales, in that same example, they want to drive revenue, right? I could say, hey, with this, we're going to fill that competitive gap. And so I'm going to give you email templates. I'm going to give you training materials like discovery call questions that you can ask to really position us as the stronger provider for this customer that cares about XYZ. So I'm going to help you to accelerate your deal cycles, help you to overcome objections with the right things to talk about and the value that I know our buyers will care about because I've done that buyer research. Again, you're kind of this weird glue, and sometimes it can be really difficult. And I know a lot of early product marketers, I mean, even later product marketers in their career, can feel really like weighed down by this. But I encourage you to think about it as a way of, it's almost like psychology and learning how to communicate more effectively by the audience that you're speaking to. And how can you bring all those insights of what you know with all these different teams to help really fuel the success of a product launch, for example. Next is a part of product marketing that I personally love, but I know can be really alarming if you're brand new in product marketing or really unexpected, and that's being kind of a detective at your organization. So in product marketing, I'm always looking to understand, you know, if we had a successful launch, why do I think that was the case? If there's a certain vertical or a certain industry that this product seemed to be a really good fit for, why is that? Or if on the reverse side, if something doesn't go so well, what went wrong? Like, what could we do better? So it's constantly being this detective and trying to find the data between the lines. So I'll give an example. I had a product launch that happened a couple months ago, and we really wanted to get a lot of customers on board, but we just found it was really hard to sell this product to this kind of a general buyer persona that we had. So I started thinking, okay, well, there's other tools out there like this product. And we provide those. They work together. So I'm like, okay, if we have current customers that are using those other products that would work well with this, they might be more inclined because it might be more valuable to them. They're already utilizing similar tools. Maybe it will be easier onboarding. It's easier for them to envision how to use this new tool to optimize even further. So I said, okay, I'm gonna get a collection or a list of those customers that are using these systems that would work really well with this. And I'm gonna target them and just say, hey, we have this new product. We think that it would work really well for you because of this use case. We know that you care about that because you're using XYZ system. Would you be interested in just hopping on a call with us just to talk about your business and if this is interesting to you? It's just kind of looking between the lines again. Who could get the most impact from this product? And how can we target them with better messaging that's gonna land with the challenges and the use cases that they're dealing with day to day. Okay, so this next one is common, and I've talked about this a lot in my previous videos, but it is the challenge of influencing without authority. So what that means is that because product marketing sits between all these different teams, we're not the managers of the folks that do whatever that department's work is on a launch, for example. So sometimes it can be challenging, and it might be really, unexpected if you're new to product marketing on how do I get all of these folks to be interested to execute on these tactics for my product launch? Like, how do I get their buy-in? And it kind of comes back to my last point about changing your communication, working really closely with teams and just understanding what does their world look like? What do they care about? What are their goals? And helping you to refine how you talk about the product launch to what they care about. So you would never go to, a certain team and start talking about like a goal that another team has. It just doesn't make sense. People have limited attention spans. So when you're having a kickoff with them, just taking your deck and saying, okay, this is exactly the challenge that we're trying to solve. This is the value that customers are gonna get. This is how we're positioning ourselves. That should stay kind of the same. But then when you're talking about what do I need from you, like from that internal stakeholder, here's where I think we can help with your goals and the ideas that I have that we could do or you could do in your department to further the success of this product launch. It really comes down to, again, refining your communication, but also what I've seen too is really successful product marketers are likable. You have to be adaptable, you have to be likable in product marketing, or you're not gonna get anything done because I am not a demand gen marketer. So I need someone to help me run campaigns or run ads or run social. And I'm not an engineer. I need someone to build the product well and to ship it on time and give me like accurate estimates of when it becomes available, for example. It's just about really, coming in with a lot of positivity. That's also something I've seen in successful product marketers is just being positive, being curious about their role, being close to them, having weekly meetings or even monthly meetings, just to understand, what do they really care about? What's causing a challenge for them in their specific role, and how can my work help with that? Okay, next is a big part of product marketing, and again, something that I think if you're new to product marketing, you might not be expecting, and that is storytelling is key part of our role, but it's also storytelling under pressure. So oftentimes in product marketing, we have really, really tight deadlines and we're working with a lot of incomplete information. Back to my earlier point, I wish I could have all these months of validating my messaging and positioning. I wish I had every question ready to go when I do the sales training before I meet with sales and start getting their questions. I wish I knew every single limitation that was happening in the product ahead of time so I could get ahead of training more productively and let people know ahead of time. But a lot of this comes down to you learning how to tell the story, tell the value, what exactly is it, who is this for, under really tight deadlines. There's always things that you could do post-launch that you can refine, that you can get really in the weeds regarding maybe certain use cases or ways that customers use the product in certain verticals. You can start getting really, really detailed and strategic on who you target post-launch, but oftentimes it comes down to, do we have the bare essentials information to go to market, and do we have the content and the enablement ready to go for our sellers? And sometimes it can be very, very incomplete, but you kind of learn to run really quickly in the chaos. And this is especially so if you're at a smaller organization. But I will say, if you're looking to break into product marketing, I advocate all the time, especially in my program, that smaller organizations are gonna teach you a lot more, because you're gonna have to get scrappy. You're gonna have to work with these teams really intimately, because there is no time and there is no like huge amount of resources that you can delegate. I actually think that that's a great way to help you to really become a very strategic product marketer, because you're gonna learn these other teams. You're gonna have good awareness of them. You're gonna learn how to work with them, what you can later down the line if you work for a larger company, what you can delegate, because you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember working with this team, I did this, or I had to do this before, but now I can tell that team, hey, this is what we're doing for this launch, like, can you assist me? Can you help me with this aspect of the launch? It takes time, but you'll get there. Okay, next is often a unexpected thing that comes with being in product marketing, especially if you're new, and that is that the imposter syndrome is so real in product marketing. And it can feel really overwhelming. It can feel like I don't have deep expertise into this, or I don't know deep expertise into our architecture or into this nitty-gritty feature within the product. It can feel really overwhelming because we are at the center of all these different teams again, that you can feel like I am a master of none. I don't understand really deeply any of these different functions or maybe different systems. But I want to encourage you, if you are new or if you're thinking about breaking into product marketing, that is completely natural. And it's actually, again, comes back to you being the glue between those different teams. That is your value. So it's really a reframing in how you think about the value that you bring to an organization. It's your deep understanding of these different teams and how they work and their goals, and your ability to translate whatever you're bringing to market into language that will land with them and aligns with their goals. That is your true value. Another core area that is often overlooked, or that you might not expect when you break into product marketing, and that is the attribution problem. So everybody wants to take credit for when a product launch goes really well. And then also, if it doesn't go well, everybody wants to say it's the messaging that didn't land with the customers. And guess who owns the messaging and positioning? You guessed it, that's product marketing. Sometimes it can feel almost impossible to try to pinpoint exactly how product marketing drives a certain metric, for example, how we drove revenue. But I think it's important to remember that oftentimes when people are a little bit quiet about their contributions in product marketing, that your contributions and your impact can go unnoticed. This might seem a little uncomfortable at first, but you really have to advocate for yourself when you're in product marketing. You have to speak up, especially if you're remote, on huge cross-functional meetings, and give your insight, give your input. Tell the team about what activities you've been doing on the launch and the results that you're driving. Even if you don't get good results, and I know that sounds weird, but I've been on many, well, not many, but I've been on many different meetings where maybe we didn't get the result that we wanted to, but it taught us something interesting about our customers. So for example, I did a launch that didn't go so well, and we found that, okay, there was a certain audience that was actually highly engaged with our messaging and what we were trying to convey to them and tell them about the value of this certain feature that we had just launched. And so even though we didn't get a ton of conversions, we didn't get a ton of sales qualified leads, for example, or we didn't get a ton of revenue, it taught us that, okay, well, that product or that messaging to that buyer in that stage where they're at resonates with them. So even if this particular launch didn't go as well as we hoped, now we know more about our customers. We know, hey, we're not going to message them with more information about XYZ product or this product over here. We know that they care about this specific challenge and these problems. So just remember that it might seem a little uncomfortable especially if you're more introverted, to speak up on large meetings and talk about the data insights or the insights that you've gotten from customers. For example, maybe you did buyer interviews and you found a specific insight that could change your messaging and positioning. it's important to speak up and to say, hey, this is what I'm working on and this is how I can contribute, because then people will start to understand that's the value of product marketing. Oh, product marketing has these insights about our customers. I'm gonna go and talk to them and get their feedback. Okay, so I know this sounds really negative, but it's not negative, I promise. I just wanna be transparent with you, especially if you're someone considering moving from a different corporate role into product marketing. It's a big jump. I want you to understand what you're getting into, and I encourage you to get into product marketing. I think it's great. I love my job. I love what I do. I think you could too, but I think it's important to know what is in store if you do make that transition. So my last point that is kind of unexpected but comes with the territory is battling with perfectionism in product marketing, because we have such tight deadlines, and again, we might not have all the information at our disposal that we need. You have to learn to just ship it. If it's 85% there, ship it. I see a lot of product marketers who really struggle with perfectionism, especially if you're earlier in your career. That is so normal. We all want to make a good impression. You know, you don't feel comfortable because you don't have years of experience to speak to you, and you want to make sure that your manager is happy with your work, for example. And so I understand where it comes from. I myself have struggled with perfectionism, especially early on in my career. But what I've learned is that the more that you can just execute, now you don't want to execute on crappy work. You want to get it in as best shape as you can. But if you keep refining and keep tweaking, you'll get into that loop of like feedback analysis paralysis, where you're just gonna keep iterating forever and you're never gonna ship something. And what I've seen is that leadership will be like, okay, well, what has product marketing delivered in the last like 3 to 6 months? And if you can't say that you've done something that directly creates an impact, it's not going to look good. So I recommend, again, do your due diligence, you know, really try to refine your work, have some pride in your work and integrity. Use ChatGPT to start off brainstorming, refine with what you understand about your buyers because you are the buyer expert. Maybe you can work with sales or even channel marketing partners and ask them, hey, does this resonate? Does this make sense? And then look and see how you can further refine it with things like Grammarly, checking your spelling and grammatical errors, and then designing it in a way that's going to be digestible for your audience. I've seen this so many times. People will tend to recognize your name because you're shipping things and you're getting data. The longer that you take to refine and tweak, 9 times out of 10, it's a little detail that's not gonna actually move the needle for what you're trying to do. So instead of spending hours and hours of extra work on that one little thing, just ship it. You can learn from it, maybe you can iterate on it later, but it's so important to just start gathering those insights, that data, and then just moving forward. So fight perfectionism. It sucks, I know, but I think the great product marketers out there, they do care, but they also care about getting those insights faster. Okay, so now that we've talked about the unexpected, kind of negative aspects of product marketing that they don't tell you in videos like this, I want to cover the things that are positive. And if you're watching this video right now and you're trying to break into product marketing, you're thinking, wow, that was a lot. I don't know if I want to get into this. Like, please listen, hear me out. I think that there are a lot of really positive parts about being in product marketing. And the first is that you become that expert, that encyclopedia for the business. So because of all the cross-functional collaboration that you do, because of launches where you have to really project manage across all these different stakeholders with different goals, different expertise, you really learn a lot about how the business works, and you have really strong understanding of a customer's journey from the first touch point all the way to when they're a customer and they're getting, you know, add-on products or something like that to get further value from their investment. I will say, being a product marketer, it's almost like getting your MBA on the job, because you're going to be learning so much about not only your products and services and your buyers, but also how businesses run. And I've talked about this in other videos, but I love product marketing in that sense because it's so fun. It's so fun to learn those skills. And they're not just product marketing SaaS tech skills. I mean, this is how you launch a product. You're learning how a business is run. I'm a very entrepreneurial person. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And so if you do too, I think product marketing is a really great fit for you because it's going to teach you really core skills that you need to launch products successfully. And you might launch your own business someday, for example, with the skills that you learned in product marketing. Another aspect of product marketing that I love is because you work so cross-functionally, your network is going to explode. So I have friendlies in customer success leadership. I have friendlies in solutions consulting. I have friendlies in sales, in product management, you name it. Just over time, especially if you're at a smaller organization, you're gonna be meeting with these folks more regularly. And it's just awesome because if product marketing is something you want to continue, then that's great. You have really strong references that speak to how you worked really well with these other teams. But if not, you also have really great leaders in these other departments. If you wanted to explore maybe a customer success role, or if you wanted to explore a sales role. So it's really great that way that you get exposure to all these different folks within the organization to really build your network wherever your career might take you. And the next part that I really enjoy, and I think this is really difficult to talk about because I get requests all the time to do like a day in the life video of a product marketer, and it's really difficult. I work from home, so it's not like I have this really fancy headquarters that I can show you guys, but I will say that I love how every single day in product marketing is different. It's so dynamic and it's creative. One day I could be really diving deep on my competitors for a new feature that we're launching. The other day I could be analyzing sales calls and trying to understand the talk tracks that sales is using that's driving upsell revenue, for example. I really love product marketing in that sense that I'm never kind of stuck just doing one task all the time. It's so dynamic. If I think about my week this week, I worked on updating review sites. I worked on creating click-through demos with product screenshots. I worked with an analyst. We were looking at different naming options for new products. So it's so fun that way that you're never just doing something super manual over and over again. You really get to expose yourself to different areas of the business and different types of work, which is great if you border on ADHD like I do. So I really love that product marketing gives me the ability to, really have a dynamic day to day. Okay, so I know I've been yapping for a long time, but I think, just my hot take is that product marketing is not for everybody. It really isn't for everybody. But if you're someone who loves kind of dynamic day-to-day work, creative thinking, being part of strategy, working with other teams, working with people, driving business impact, then I think you are a great fit for product marketing. And like I said earlier, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, even better. So after everything in this video, if you still feel like, yes, I am confident that I want to break into product marketing, please check out the link in the description of this video and in the tag comment to learn more about my program. I offer one-on-one product marketing specific interview coaching, resume and LinkedIn optimization, and also help with your product marketing portfolio. So if that's something that you're interested in, you're ready to take the next step, check that out. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful in trying to decide if this is the right fit for you. I will see you in the next video. Take care.